Obi says that 2027 might be his last shot at the presidency after he confirmed that he will be running for president in 2027 under the Labour Party platform. In a viral video, Obi stated that by 2027 he will be 65 years old and might not be willing to pursue public office beyond that age, citing concerns about contesting elections in his 70s. Obi assures and continued his support for young Nigerians committed to national transformation. He's blaming the ruling government for fueling turmoil in the Labour Party and the People's Democratic Party, the PDP. The 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate emphasized the need for strong opposition parties in Nigeria's democracy. Well, for more of a conversation about this development, the Secretary General of the Obedient Movement, Dr. Moses Paul, joins me now to discuss how realistic this latest Peter Obi decision, given the festering crisis in the party, how realistic is it? Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me on the program.
Thank you. Good to be here. And just to correct a misinformation or a misconception, I was there with him at the youth program that he had in Abuja, where he was answering the question on where is he right now, as a lot of people are kind of concerned about the political platform he's running on. And he was very clear in context that he's still in the Labour Party, that if elections were to be conducted today, that he was going to run under the vehicle of the Labour Party. He did not expressly say that he will run with the Labour Party in 2027. That is not to say that he was denying running in 2027 or whether he's going to run under any coalition party or whatever the case may be. But that question particularly was in context to what was happening, the question he was asked, because I was right there in the room. And I think it's important to correct that impression, because now we have so agents and misinformation ministers and people who are always about trying to change the context of conversation. And also, even giving your opening remark where you spoke about the fact that the different issues and factions that are going on with the Labour Party. And I can tell you, the most unified and cohesive platform today in Nigeria is the Labour Party.
Well, I'm just going to have to interrupt you there.
Yes.
Because obviously that is not quite correct. We have been covering the Labour Party and the PDP and the APC for quite a while. We do know that the Labour Party has a lot of individuals that come to sit up in our studio and throw barbs at the leadership of the party, which signals to a crisis, but we'll just we'll leave the splitting hairs for another day, as we have more important things to discuss, as in Peter Obi's future. It seems that just like you cleared up, he may or may not be running for the 2027 elections. But if he does, he will be running under the platform of the Labour Party. Those who supported him would be questioning whether he has learned any lessons, or whether the Obedient Movement in general has learned any lessons from the 2023 general elections. Anything that could inform a more calculated strategy come 2027 if he does decide to run, especially regarding voter mobilization, the structure of the party, grassroots engagement, and also countering perceived electoral practices. What are the lessons or takeaways that have been learned so that a repeat does not happen come 2027?
Well, you see, again, you are dealing with the broader spectrum of issues. Whether for Mr. Peter Obi or the Obedient Movement, the focus has always been patriotism towards the Nigerian estate. And that's why his concentrations daily has been about education, about healthcare, about pulling people out of poverty. And you can see that with his lifestyle. I've had the humbling privilege to have traveled with him home and abroad. And I can tell you quite honestly, he's majorly concerned about the future of education, healthcare, and how poverty alleviation for the people. And this is what he has continued to do, consistently. And the Obedient Movement, essentially, yes, it's not a political party. It's much more than a political party. The Obedient Movement it's about the reimagined new Nigeria. Our focus is not, completely just driven by cycles of elections, but what will happen to the average Nigerian. And so if you look at that vis-a-vis what the characterization of what Mr. Peter Obi represents, you would understand that this is the only group and this is the only person who is striving to ensure that we have a new Nigeria from every facet, and in every engagement you can see that. And what I was saying before you interrupted is the fact that those who are clamoring, those who have now been emboldened to have a one-party state are the ones ensuring that they disrupt every system that will, give a viable opposition come in the next election. And this is why we're making it clear, as part of the lessons learned, that it's important to stay within the boundaries of the law and also with democratic values. We don't want a Nigeria that is, you have narrative of snatching, of grabbing on. Nobody has the monopoly of anarchy, but we're saying that part of what we will continue to push is to ensure that we have a country where civility, where the rule of law, where people will behave like, and this is why you will hear Mr. Peter Obi again and again. He keeps making and driving narrative with nations like Netherlands, like Bangladesh, like different nations who are at par with us, because we must be able to drive ourselves from where we are right now to where we're supposed to be as a people, not to fall, to just anyhow kind of nations like we have seen. So yes, there are lots of lessons. And while this is not the place to talk about strategies, I can tell you that engagement, we're consolidating, grassroots, mobilizations are things, we continue to do that beyond agitation, even beyond advocacy. We're organizing every day to ensure that we protect our vote and do what is right, and so that, we can be able to put Nigeria where it's supposed to be.
Fair enough. And I know that you went over this as soon as we started the interview, but we did have some technical issues. So for those in the back or those who are just tuning in, I want you to clarify the reports about and speculations about Peter Obi engaging in coalition talks with other political figures. This has been discussed widely in the last couple of weeks. If you can confirm the current stance of Peter Obi and the Obedient Movement regarding these coalition discussions. Is he actively shunning them, sticking with the Labour Party? Just want to reconfirm.
No, Mr. Peter Obi will continue as he has consistently maintained, and is part of any coalition that is there to ensure that we have a new Nigeria, a secured Nigeria. Any coalition that is there to ensure that we have the Nigeria of our dream, where the child of nobody can become, where meritocracy is the baseline, where the rule of law is what we have. He will continue to engage in such coalition. It's not shying away from any coalition. However, it's important to state very clearly, because people, like I said, there are two prongs of people that do exist. Those who make quick conclusions. Whenever they see groups of opposition leaders come together, they already make conclusions on what consultations, or even without knowing the essence of the discussions that are going on. And then you have this other set of people who are actually paid agents of misinformation and driving narratives to ensure that they cause chaos within the coalition that is going on. Mr. Peter Obi will continue to engage with everybody and all parties to ensure that we have the kind of leadership that is required in the country.
Evolution of the movement amongst the youth, and what exactly will be the plans for a more robust and a sustainable structure in order to, well, secure the necessary funding, first of all, for the sustainment of the group, knowing as how stomach infrastructure is the name of the game in politics. This during campaigns? And also, how do you plan to keep the Labor Party, the obedient movement, credible amidst all this infighting within the Labor Party as well?
Well, you know, it is sad that poverty has been so weaponized to the point where, you know, while I don't want to call names, people in government and in leadership in very high positions have been questioned with the quote that what money cannot buy, more money can buy. I mean, it's a complete downturn in our value systems in Nigeria as it stands today. And we've never been this low, you know, where people are rewarded for snatching and grabbing and running away with ballot boxes and all kinds of things. We're hoping that we'll be able to build a future where the children who will be born will see this as completely alien in history. But right now, as it stands right now, it is sad. We have glitches everywhere, from the studio to the jam sessions and also to the INEC. We're hoping that in 21st century, this is 2025, we should not be having these kinds of issues. And that's why, both as a movement, and I speak because Mr. Peter Obi is one whose voice has been loud, where the concerns of our values and the critical essentials, you know, from education to health to the livelihood of people are concerned, he continues to push and continue to invest and continue to ensure that our people are not completely broken. And we're hoping that we will, at a time like this in our nation's history, have people that will be patriotic. You know, patriotism has to do with a love for country beyond your people and the government. Because at the end of the day, leaders come and leaders go. The people that you call your people today, in decades to come, they all evolve, but there will always be a country and a people that will exist. And we hope to be able to share narrative and hope to speak to our constituency in the obedient movement, to raise a critical mass of people who will not give in or give up to the shenanigans and all the things that we have today. And this is what Mr. Peter Obi epitomizes. That's why, regardless of the terrain, he travels from Lagos to Sokoto, from Maiduguri to Ibadan, attending to issues with young people and adults and family every day, bringing hope and succor to every facet of the economy and our civic spaces. This is what is required. Mr. Peter Obi is a hope. The obedient movement, like the civil rights movement or the ANC, is born at a time that it's critical in our nation's history. And we continue to feed this energy and this narrative because we need people that will stand the test of time and not given to the apathy of vote buying and all kinds of things that are going on right now. Before we went off, I was talking about the fact that today in Nigeria, people are rewarded for stealing ballot boxes. People are rewarded for doing the wrong things. And so there is so much feeling for this particular generation where people cannot, there is no clear lines between what is wrong and what is right. And this is why, as a movement, we will continue to push for reforms that will continue to help strengthen our value system, policies that will hold people and leaders accountable to doing what is right.
And just before we let you go, in a worst case scenario, of course, if the Labor Party crisis escalates and it's in an irreparable state, does Peter Obi have an alternate platform or strategy to jump on in case that is in case that's what happens?
I mean, it's very laughable sometimes when I hear some of this rhetoric. I told you very plainly, because we know that paid agents who infiltrate parties to ensure that those parties are destabilized. And you can see that across board with all the opposition parties, because these machineries, those who are engineering these want a one-party state, and they've been emboldened. And so you hear people talk about, Mr. Peter Obi, you cannot fix your Labour Party. How are you going to fix Nigeria? Those mundane rhetorics after they have engineered people to plunge down the Labour Party. In any case, you can see from even history line when Mr. Peter Obi was governor, from security to education to health to every facet, while he was governor, how he moved the tides from nearly ground zero to, the highest in the country and as a state at that time, over a decade ago. And so, yes, there are strategies, but this is not the place to spill our strategies. But you can be assured the Labour Party is going to work and the opposition are going to come stronger, in every area, and they will bounce back. And I can tell you, come 2027, because the hunger and the anger and the poverty that exists within the Nigerian cycle right now is not acceptable. We can have a country where by the government data, by the MBS statistics, showing that we have multiple, over 150 million Nigerians can barely eat in a day. They can't even attend to any health crisis. This is not acceptable, and I can assure you that the opposition are working. And politics is about timing. And most of the time, people are quick, to make conclusions, whether about what the coalition is about or what's happening in different political parties. But this is Nigeria. Again, if you are as old as I am, if anybody thought that today that the APC as a party will be here, it's almost impossible given the 16-year rule of the former party. And so it has always been in history. What we see today will be history because there's a new crop of people coming up, and Mr. Peter Obi is championing that consistency and character. We're not bendable. We're not sellable. He's here to ensure that the right thing is done. And Nigeria, a new Nigeria, is possible.
Well, we'll just have to leave it right there. Dr. Moses Paul, thank you so much for joining me today, the Secretary General of the Obedient Movement. Wishing you all the best with your endeavors.